Can you hear me? If you could raise your hand or do the thumbs up or have some reason. Oh. Perfect.
Yep, we're good.
Just unmute. Thank you. We'll call the using my voice, I'll call the Dunsmuir City Council to order at 6:04 p.m. on November 3rd, 2022. We could all ask for a flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if we could do a brief roll call.
Councilmember Arth.
Here.
Councilmember Lucchese. Here. Councilmember Chrysler.
We see you on Zoom, Councilman Kessler. You're still muted though. If you could unmute yourself.
Councilmember Chrysler, can you hear us?
I'm here. Jeez.
Councilmember
Yeah.
Deutsch. Councilmember Bush. And Mayor Bryant.
Present. All right, I hope you feel better soon, Councilman Kessler. We have two special presentations and announcements. First and foremost, we have the proclamation for Rita Costa. Come to the podium.
I'm a little soft on this year's book. And so everybody on coming up on, let's see, Wednesday, November 9th, it's Read Across Siskiyou. And whereas the ultimate goal of First Siskiyou Children and Families Commission is that our Siskiyou's children from prenatal to 5 years of age will be healthy, ready to learn, and supported in safe, nurturing families and communities. Whereas children of Siskiyou County from prenatal through 5 years of age have a successful start in life, daily reading with supportive and nurturing families, caregivers, educators, and community leaders. And whereas early literacy is the foundation for academic, social, emotional, economic success, and whereas in partnership with the Siskiyou County Library and Family Community Resource Centers, right down the street, dedicates one day each year to promote early literacy by providing the same book to be read by guest readers, children in various preschools, kindergartens, child care settings, libraries, and online events throughout Siskiyou County on the same day. Provide each child with a copy of the book to take home. Therefore, the city of Dunsmuir proclaims November 9th as the 15th anniversary of Read Across Siskiyou, and be it that this body enthusiastically endorses daily reading, singing, and playing with children as a critical foundation for healthy development and lifelong success. So there we go. I think it's already been signed. So thanks so much for being a part of this. And if you'd like to be a reader, please feel free to go down to the Dunsmuir Resource Center, and they can set you up with reading assignments for doing the virtual videos, like we had, which was a ton of us. We're not going to do those this year, but it's going to be the in-person. So please call our Family Resource Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Already signed up.
All right. Thank you so much for coming to us again. Happy to be on November 9th and the rest of the year. All right. We have our early feedback committee giving a report.
Hi, everyone. Linda Shane with DPAC. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Hi, Linda.
All right. So this is really exciting. As you know, we had the core project here. It was a pilot project from a national organization, community organized relief effort, and we thought it was very much of a success. It exceeded our expectations, and we're going to have them tell you about it. I just wanted to say a few words and thank a few people. We really learned a lot this summer, and it was because of the partnership. It was a really good example of how, for such a small community like this, we can partner and get a lot done. And so, and some of the partners are online. We have Giselle Nova with the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County. We have Mary Bazaka and Sam Brujoli from CORE. And we have Kathleen Shirley, who's a local Dunsmuirian, and she's with CORE too. She was hired as a local. And I think that's it. And we're going to have Mary give you that report. But I just wanted to share that Sam and Mary were wonderful to work with. Young, great team, just had so much respect for everyone here in Dunsmuir. And it was awesome to work with them. Kathleen Shirley was great. And Kathleen Shirley is a local. She was hired by CORE to do the outreach, and now she's very passionate about wildfire safety. She's working at Dunsmuir Elementary School as a teacher in her regular job, and she's extremely passionate about becoming a FireWise community. And so I feel such a relief to have some more energy, and it really helped us, get that energy going. And we also learned a lot from Scott Steinbrenner, who's up at Torchbearer. He was also hired by CORE to help the team. And we learned a lot about good fire and what you can do with good fire to clean and reduce the debris in forested areas. We have Giselle Nova and Kristen Norman from the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County. They partnered with us this summer. We did so many events. We did a training at the community building. We actually trained over 20 people on assessment. How do you harden? How do you create different space? It was a whole day training. It's 2-day training, and we did out into the field to learn it. So we started the summer out with that. We did fire writing. So it was really a good summer. I'm very excited. And the city and city staff
Wow.
for being so supportive in getting this going, because Bruce really helped us kind of convince Mary to pick Dunsmuir over Happy Camp or somewhere else. We still have a lot of work to do, but I want to hand it off to Mary, because she's going to show you some pictures and give you the final numbers. I think we're going to share that screen. And Mary, are you ready to do that?
Yes,
Well,
Linda, I am. Can you
all
hear me? Okay.
All right, Mary, I'm making you a co-host, so just bear with me.
Okay.
You should be able to take control and share your screen, your presentation.
Okay. It's still saying that it's disabled for me.
Well, those guys are working it out. Yeah, okay. One of the nice things about my experience with this whole team was how everybody came together and worked together, and we're all getting ready to do our CAL FIRE grant. We got, as you all know, got 900,000, just under 900,000 to do fuel reduction, and we're going to kick that off in January. That's a 4-year grant from CAL FIRE, and that will be doing a lot of the CEQA work for Dunsmuir, and then some fuel reduction in the south part of town to create safer evacuation roads. So it'll be at least 300 feet on either side of a road. And we'll be able to clean up more properties with that grant as well. Are we getting, we're starting? Are we ready?
Can you see my screen?
No. Oh, there it is.
Go for it.
It just says photos right now.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Linda. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary, and I'm here with Sam. We are both the project managers for the CORE pilot program. And I just want to start out by saying thank you so much to City Council, to our partners, the Fire Safe Council, to DPAC, and just to the community of Dunsmuir for allowing us to come here, welcoming us into the community, and just letting us, kind of try out this pilot program because it was the first of its kind for CORE. And I'm going to give the final report, give our final numbers for the work we did, but I just want to say we had a meeting with our leadership team yesterday, a review, and they all want to continue this conversation and continue this work. So they decided that it was a success and they saw the need from this, that the work should continue. So I'll start with just going through some photos, kind of giving examples of some of the stuff we came across while doing the work. Just a bunch of before and after pictures. There was a lot of blackberries that we encountered while we were here that had just been really overgrown. So that's before, and that's the same area, same land after. And then a lot of things, we came across were that a lot of residents were really concerned about their privacy and had a lot of vegetation right around their homes, which, privacy is important, but also at the end of the day, what's like, if you end up losing your home to a fire, right, then what is the point of privacy? So, and we noticed a big difference in mindsets as we were going through our assessments, as we were going through our work, and people started opening up and allowing us to take, more out to make it more fire safe, a more effective, defensible space. And that was a lot of overgrown vegetation, a lot of blackberries in that area as well. So those are just some of the examples. And then our final numbers. So for the most part, we were in Dunsmuir, and for defensible spaces, we ended up completing 44 residences. There's still 2 in our work queue. We were waiting for the weather to clear up, and I think the end of this week we'll have our 46 complete. Overall, that would have been 84 residents assisted. And then amount of debris removed, it was about 440 cubic yards that we removed. We distributed 128 go bags in Dunsmuir. And then with the McKinney and Yeti fires in Siskiyou County, we responded to that for a couple weeks. So we ended up also doing some home preparation in Quartz Valley on 10 homes, and then 15 in Happy Camp as well. And then overall, Dunsmuir and then in Siskiyou County as a whole, we engaged with 751 individuals, whether it was working on their property or just educating them on preparedness. We educated 368 individuals on Zone Haven and helping them understand their zones, and then signed up 167 residents for Code Red. And then we also have a project, it's not complete yet, but the McConnell Foundation is partnering with us to do some fuel reduction at the elementary school. And the pilot program is wrapping up, and Sam and I are headed back to Los Angeles, but the efforts are definitely still going to continue in Dunsmuir. Kathleen, Linda, Kristen, Giselle are still moving forward with working on a Firewise community. They met with the CAL FIRE rep, and I know the next step is to do a community wildfire risk assessment. I believe they're still planning on doing future monthly Firewise events as well. As Linda mentioned, Dunsmuir also received that grant, and then CORE also went after a grant with the Fire Safe Council that we should hear back about in January. That would bring us back up to Siskiyou County. But until then, we're definitely still working with the leadership team on getting more donations and money to, come back to this area and also replicate the projects in other communities. But I know, like we wouldn't have been able to do this work without the efforts of the entire team, without the community, without, Kathleen, Scott, Giselle, Kristen, Linda. And like, we're not going to be here, but the momentum's definitely going to continue going. And I think there's a Green Waste Day on Saturday, isn't there, Linda?
Yes, the Green
Okay.
Waste Day this Saturday.
Yes, Green Wednesday has moved to the parking lot at the south of City Hall.
Okay, great. Well, that's all I have for our report out. Just wanted to exit by just saying thank you again.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your commitment to the Dunsmuir project. Where does SCORE go from here based on the results of Dunsmuir?
Well, the work, they definitely want to continue it. But until, the funding is secure and we have a set plan in place, we're headed back to Los Angeles. But after the review yesterday, the CEO wants to sit down and talk about our plans in person and, where we go from here.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If I could, I just want to take the opportunity to talk about the caliber of Mary and Sam. There are people come and go, and you get involved and they go on, but from the time they first come to town all the way through, I've seen two young people that are determined and really in their power to make the world better. I salute them, and I think we were very blessed to have them in our community. Thank you both.
Are there any additional questions? Unfortunately, only questions for council. But we can
Can I just request that if Giselle would like to make a brief comment, is that possible? Giselle or Kristen, if you want to share just a few words as a partner with Dunsmuir.
Sure, I can do
Okay.
that. We are very grateful for Sam and Mary when they first approached us and said, we'd like to move into Siskiyou County, and South Siskiyou is looking very promising. And from that moment forward, I just fell in love with them. They're just such great people. And they've worked very hard to make this happen. So much so that the Fire Safe Council, alongside of CORE, has applied for a community wildfire defense grant. It's almost a $10 million grant to do just what Sam and Mary are doing. And if we get that, then maybe we'll have them back. That would be great. So this will be throughout Siskiyou County, not just Dunsmuir, though. This one will do 500 homes throughout Siskiyou County for low-income folks, and 300 acres of ingress and egress. So cross your fingers, you never know. We might not, but we did apply for it and we're hopeful.
I'll just add, if I don't know if this is Kristen Norman, Giselle's assistant from Fire Safe Council. I just wanted to make sure everyone realized that when Sam and Mary first came and toured around town and, given their parameters of the pilot program and their budget and timeline, they thought they would be able to do 20 homes. And what was the grand total with all of the Quartz Valley Happy Camp and what was it, 71 and Dunsmuir? It was a grand total of 71 homes. That is mind blowing and incredible. 71 homes in Siskiyou County that are in much better standing to be resilient in the very real possibility of wildfires. So that's truly, truly mind blowing, commendable, and it's testament to the teamwork and, like the council member said, the caliber of the people involved. So I just wanted to make sure everyone realized just how much got done and in a short time and a relatively small budget. So that is, as far as pilot programs go, this was a raging success.
I might add that this pilot program was done with core money. They did that they brought their own money to us in this county, which we are grateful for, very grateful for.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the DPAC committee for being the city's main interface with this wonderful project. Any additional questions, council?
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming here tonight. We really appreciate your guys' commitment to being a fire-safe community.
So we have to go back to, I mean, from your standpoint, LA instead of here?
Come back and visit anytime. Let's move to our general public comment for this evening. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, please come to the podium, or if you're on Zoom, raise your hand. You'll be allotted 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. And again, this is for general public comment, so anything that is not on the agenda later. Seeing none, I will close general public comment for the evening and move into staff and public comments. City manager?
So, I also want to thank you for everything you guys have done. So, seeing the community come together, coming from the outside, I want to say I look forward to be some future opportunities. So the last couple weeks I've been working on grants and closing out a number of public projects, with one of those coming here on shortly. And other than that, it's been just really busy just trying to get all that stuff done. We have a couple of grants that we are applying for, one we have already applied for, one we're preparing to apply for, and hopefully be able to bring those back to Dunsmuir.
Thank you. Any questions?
Well, one of the bits of unfinished business is the resolution landmarking the California Theater.
It has been completed, and it has gone and been recorded. Yes.
Thank you very much. Could I get a copy, please?
I will work on that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, city manager? I don't know if this is the correct person to ask it, but is there any update between you on the children's park? Design thoughts on it, and they had no idea that we were actually going to be replacing it. So for that.
I guess the updates from the comments last meeting is there is a monkey bar. That is part of the.
So yeah, so we've gone back to the vendor because we have about 98,000 for the installation, everything all set, or 96,000, something like that. And so their quote had come back at around 150. Yeah, around 150,000. So we had went back to them, and I had not heard back. That was like 2 days ago. After a number of iterations in the last week, and so we're trying to get that number down with a different configuration, and then hopefully to have a rubberized flooring as well to make it as safe as possible.
Cool. And then on a related note, when do we get the reimbursement for the purchase of the property? Do we know yet?
We haven't gotten it yet. We need to do a few pieces, recording on the title, make sure it's a park for 99 year or something like that. So yeah, we need to do all that kind of stuff first before we get the reimbursement, but it'll be coming.
Thank you so much. Any additional questions?
Well, just a comment that I understand the Dunsmuir Rotary Club would be interested in involving themselves in the design and execution of the new playground equipment in the children's park. So I think they're anxious to be a part of that.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Our police chief, Sergeant Dorsey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take a moment to introduce one of our newer deputies. This is Deputy Roman Navarro. I try to embarrass all the deputies that I can. He's that guy. So Roman's a family man. He's got a wife and children. He's currently in his third phase of training. He's halfway through that. He's doing a good job. Unfortunately, I think he's going to probably be working primarily the Wairika or Northern County area. But from time to time, I'm sure we'll see him down here. So we're glad to have Deputy Navarro with us.
Thank you, Deputy Navarro.
Do you have anything you'd like to say? No? Okay. So, welcome. So this is the report for September. We didn't have the last meeting. It appears that 25% of the fiscal year is complete. 25% of the contract hours have been completed. I expect that number to actually be conservative. We get more logs and time logs that trickle in later, so it appears we're doing what we're supposed to as far as presence goes. For the month of September, the Sheriff's Office provided 416 hours of law enforcement service to the city of Dunsmuir. We had 250 calls for service or self-initiated activity. That's the radio calls. Last year we had 205, so we're up a little. We took 17 cases. Last year was 26. Traffic stops, we had 18. Last year we had 11. 9 citations were issued, 5 were cite and release misdemeanor warrants, and 4 were traffic related. We had 1 felony arrest and 4 misdemeanor arrests. School checks are way up at 35 versus last year at 23. We did have 24 disturbing the peace incidents versus last year having 9. The proactivity on the deputies is good. They went out with 18 suspicious people or subjects walking the streets in the middle of the night versus last year at 11, and then contacted 12 vehicles that caught their eye that were parked in odd spots. 16 security checks, 1 traffic collision. The trespassing was up. We had 8 this year versus 2 last year. Trespassing, just to kind of explain that a little better, that's necessarily somebody refusing to leave somebody's front yard. That's maybe somebody at a business such as a Chevron or Manfredi's that's been asked to leave and doesn't, so we have to go there and shush them out of there. That would count as a trespassing type incident. Then as far as notable cases for September, there was a domestic violence incident that attracted some attention. It was near the brewery, but not affiliated with the brewery at Dunsmuir Spruce. There's a domestic couple that had been involved in a fight. A phone was destroyed. The male subject was ultimately arrested for the felony level of domestic violence after the deputies observed injuries on the female party. And there was a stolen vehicle in the subdivision behind Yaks, or the swimming pool off of Masson. That vehicle was later recovered. That happened the 21st. The vehicle was reported stolen, and then 9 days later, the Weed Police Department recovered it and abandoned in an alley behind the Eagle's Nest in South Weed there. That's pretty much it for the month of September.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you so much, Sergeant Ortiz. We really appreciate the job you're doing for our small town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Arth, would you like to begin with council comments?
Well, before we leave the staff, I did have a question as to the status of the budget and the audit.
Budget I have not worked on. Audit I am working on currently.
Is there a projected date for when we're going to adopt a new budget?
No projected date at this moment. Yeah, we're working off of that one right there, 21 through 23. So essentially working off that second year of that year budget.
Thank you.
Because we're discussing 2 separate audits.
Sure. Yeah. The 21 audit, 6/30/21 audit has been accepted and everything. The 30/22 audit is what I'm currently working on.
I think perhaps Councilman Arth was recalling that we had wanted to revisit the 21 audit once Finance Committee had a chance to review, recommend.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Still working on that one then.
Okay.
Yep.
I just have 2 items. One of them is, I guess, to express my disappointment that the city is not going to celebrate Veterans Day this year. So I'm going to have a very personal ceremony with a Marine veteran, Vietnam era, and we're going to go to the cemetery together. And then I'm going to take my friend Rick out to dinner. But I hope in the years ahead, the sign when you enter Siskiyou County that says "We honor veterans" means a little bit more than it has in the years past. My second item is we got a really wonderful presentation from the Siskiyou Economic Development Group, and they left some items behind. And I don't know how many of the council members or the members of the Planning Commission got a copy of the Siskiyou County Economic Development Plan, but I took it home and read it, and it's really quite good. That is an 18-month collaborative effort countywide, and it looks out 5 years, and then it looks out beyond 5 years. And it is titled as a roadmap for business expansion, for job creation, for higher investment in Dunsmuir and other communities in our county. It has 9 focus areas. It does an exercise much like our interview to choose a new city manager. What do you see as strengths? What do you see as weaknesses? And my point here is the city has paid for this, paid a lot of money at the county level for this plan. There are 9 focus areas of particular importance to me as I turn into a pumpkin is item number 2, which is take the 15-minute city experience. Spend 15 minutes in downtown Dunsmuir, see what you see. Draw conclusions from it, strengths and weaknesses. The other is regional broadband planning. And here the report points out $700 million that are available just at the state level, never mind the federal level, for regional broadband planning. Why would we not embrace that as part of the broadband planning for the city of Dunsmuir? So I hope this doesn't get ignored for the next council and the city manager. I know that we, for whatever reason, ever since I moved here, have not been willing to do a vision and planning exercise. It has not happened for the 15 years I've been here. And I think it hobbles our planning commission to not be an interactive part of the collaborative effort that we're trying to do to vision and plan for the health and sustainability of our community. We have an economic development committee that does not meet. I don't understand why. So I'm hoping as we roll into the new year, we will take advantage of the investment we've made in this economic development plan, perhaps do our own, but I think it's extremely well done. Our contribution should pay dividends, but it won't if we ignore it. Thank you.
The Active Transportation Advisory Group, which is part of the Active Transportation Grant that we have, met on Tuesday afternoon with our consultants, KT, UA, and used to be LGC, and now there's Civic Well. I'm getting there. So that was just a quick kickoff and kind of walking audit of North Dunsmuir and parts of South Dunsmuir. And hopefully that you'll be hearing back from our consultants with some catered public outreach, as well as some information on potential upgrades that we could be doing for our active transportation plan that's being funded through that grant. So very excited for that to kick off. The Jumpstart grant, is the one that I believe the city manager is talking about, is the one that we talked about at our last meeting, which would fund a disaster resilience and kind of hazard mitigation planner, and official to help with continued efforts of CORE and DPAC. I believe there was a review of that and it looks really good, so that's good. Hopefully we'll get that, which would give us a full-time person on staff for the next years to focus on those efforts. And then that's pretty much it for me today.
Thank you so much. Councilman Kaiser.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. The sound's all broken up, but I wanted to thank CORE for all that they've done for our town. I think what they've done is amazing, and we were honored to have them here again. And it's getting cold. Just keep that in mind. Bring in the pets. Maybe wrap your water lines. Be prepared. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Kaiser. Hope you feel better soon. Vice Mayor Deutsch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First thing is November 17th at 5:30 at the community building is this annual What's on Your Plate. Several years ago, I was involved working with the Resource Center to put together a program where we brought in all the people who faced food insecurity in the area and gave them a lot of information about all the different resources available to them. The high school put on a meal for them, the culinary arts program did, and one of the key items was this was an effort for us to be able to get signatures of people that are actually in need of programs so the money in turn can flow for those programs. A few years ago, before COVID started, that event, after a couple of them, kind of shifted into a different level. The realization was that for the giveaway that happens annually at Thanksgiving for turkeys or hams, this year just turkeys, that we bring those two together and the people have to come and listen to all the stuff before they get their food. So it's a way to get them into the programs, get them educated a little bit, and then give them the turkey to go home. At the same time, Rotary does childcare for it. So again, this is going to be taking place at 5:30, November 17th at the community building. One of the events I want to kind of throw out into the ether is the idea of us starting an event sometime. Not sure when, I'll be exploring it. We live in a community that is particularly dependent for our livelihood on the first responders, particularly the firemen around here. And I thought it would be interesting to once a year have some kind of an event at the community center where we do some way to honor those people, do something to kind of celebrate not only them, but other first responders. And so I'll be kind of exploring that going forward. I just wanted to throw it out there so people are aware of what I'm trying to play with on that. Some bad news from the LTC, Local Transportation Commission. If you remember, that's where we're working on getting a new bus system. There's kind of a snag in the process because the executive director just resigned. And part of the problem is, to be honest, we have here in Siskiyou County, we're the only county that doesn't have an agency that runs the bus system. So right now, the bus system is run by the county. And from that standpoint, there was between the executive director and the county staff. I'm not going to say who's what or what was doing, the bad stuff, but the bottom line is that it got to the point where the executive director felt he could no longer continue, and so he resigned. What that means is we're working off an interim director right now, and that interim director is who was an executive director before, and that's Melissa Cummings. And so we're kind of in a phase right now, and I've talked with Susan Tavallero, who's the chair of the commission press, and I want to make sure that she continues to press forward on coming up with an RFP for the bus system so that doesn't fall apart. And I'm going to be reaching out in various ways, like to the ACMA organization or League of California Cities, to find somebody in the state that would be able to come up and help us write a really powerful RFP to bring in the type of company that would be able to design a system that would work in Siskiyou County and make it work. So that's what I'm playing around with right now, but I just wanted to point out it's kind of touch and go in terms of how fast that will proceed. And as for, with Councilmember Arth leaving here shortly, I thought I would take one last attempt to explain about broadband. All that money is designed to go to places that don't have the internet, don't have broadband.
I think, with all due respect.
Well, I just want to say.
We'll come up on the agenda again, but,
Well, I just want to say the bottom line is that we can't get that money because we have coverage. I got 1 gig, people all around town have coverage. They're not going to give us any more money.
agreed.
Okay,
But
that's all.
let's-
Oh,
when
one
it
last
comes up,
thing.
We can express that.
One last thing, in terms of moving forward, I just mentioned a couple people. I just found out that going into next year, I will be the president of the Rotary Club. So I'm
congratulations.
president-elect right now. So anyway, that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let's move into our committee reports.
We didn't have any for tonight.
There's a problem.
Any committee reports? All right, well, I said the Public Works Committee has not met officially, but there's been definitely work on that progress, and we hope to be coming back with some directions by the next council meeting, council review. And let's move into the approval of the minutes for the October 6th meeting.
Motion.
Oh, go ahead. No, you do.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 6, 2022.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the motion at hand? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Unanimous? The consent agenda, tonight we have the check registry from October 22nd through October 28th. Proclamation for the 15th annual 60 Reads event and the resolution approving Department of Forestry Fire Protection Agreement. If you recall, that's the radiogram passed.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution. I mean, the consent agenda.
Second.
You got it.
All right. Any discussion of the motion on hand? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried unanimously. All right, we have no public hearing tonight. So that brings us into old business. So I'd like to welcome two guests tonight for old business item A, which is the resolution to finalize the USDA loan of $7,934,000 water main improvement project. First and foremost, I'd like to thank and invite him up to the side, if you would. Dennis works in our water as our chief water person. It's an honor to have you here tonight to help us understand how busy you've been the last 2 years. And then we have Keith on Zoom from Pace Engineering.
Yes, can you guys hear me okay? You guys are broken up on my end.
Yeah,
good.
we can hear you, Keith.
fine.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, thanks for inviting me to talk about this project just a little bit. I wish I could be there in person, but I was a close contact to somebody that got COVID earlier this week, so I'm kind of isolating, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm in my office Zooming in, but I really want to thank you guys for all the support as the city council over the last 4+ years of this project. From the time we started funding, it's been 2 years of construction, as probably all of you can observe around the town and construction, but it finally is complete. You know, this was a USDA rural development funded loan grant that was a really perfect timing for the city. The loan, as you guys are going to discuss here, is $7,934,000 and hit it perfectly. I think it was the lowest rate that you could get, which was 1.375%. And because of that, the loan amount was much larger than we expected. The USDA also supplemented it with another $2.285 million in grant, so that the total project was $10,219,000. Because of the low interest rate, and we got really good numbers by the contractor that was awarded the project, S&L Group out of Reading, we were able to add several large sections to the project, along with the city staff assistants that I'll mention in a little bit. We were able to do significantly more work than what was the original plan. This project ended up replacing almost 30% of your city's 4-inch and larger water mains, approximately 24,500 feet. And that's not including the almost 9,000 feet of new water services. We replaced 44 fire hydrants, added new water meters throughout the whole community, 1,155 meters approximately, of which all have been installed except for, I think there was like 70 that just came in. They've been back ordered for several months, and those will get installed. Throughout the community, this project was able to dramatically improve the pressure in certain regions, definitely the fire flow and the hydraulics in other regions of the community. And one of the real instrumental things about the significantly more footage and pipe that was put in was the efforts and assistance that the city staff, especially Dennis, provided throughout the project. But the whole public works staff, they saved the city probably $1 million, maybe a little bit more, where they took on the effort of repairing 2 water mains that were crossing under the railroad tracks, one on Blacksmith Hill Road and the other one on Simpson Avenue. If we would have had to put those out to bid, those would have definitely been $1 million or maybe more, the 2 of them together. It's very expensive to do non-maintenance on under the railroad. So because the city was doing it as a repair, it was considered maintenance. The other big thing was Dennis and then Tony were on site almost pretty much daily for the last 2 years with the contractor. And that allowed us as PACE to return 40% of our construction field observer budget, because we only needed 1 observer out there because they were there on site helping answer questions, making sure that the product was being put into city standards and stuff. So it was really a big boost. I think it ends up being about $280,000 is turned back into construction. Let's see. We also, so kind of looking at what this project did and then the additional items we added in, the 2015 Water Master Plan identified about 20 areas that needed to have of projects that should be done. And we've completed pretty close to all of them now. The exceptions are, there's a section down by Shearer Avenue Bridge on First Street that needs to be replaced. That's in a planning phase right now. And then the downtown water tank replacement, that is ongoing right now. They're doing a winter shutdown. The tank is erected. There are 3 pressure reducing valve sites that have already been put in, and the supervisory valve that's been put in that's part of that project. But we got to wait until warmer weather arrives to be able to paint the tank and get it online. So it'll be probably late spring, early summer before that's finished. The only other thing I should mention, Dustin wanted me to just mention that the Mossbury Springs improvements, which is also was not part of the Water Master Plan because the concerns from the state came about after that was done. That project is expected to be out to bid in January and probably awarded in March and should be completed by this time next year. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Yeah, Councilman Deutsch.
Keith, thank you. And Thank you, Dennis, for what you just did. Question I have is, I know that when we put this together, starting back in 15, that we were looking at mains that were extremely past their life cycle. Looking at it from that standpoint, what percentage of our water mains right now are past their life cycle? We got them all within the range?
I would say no. I haven't evaluated that exactly, but I know we've estimated that probably close to 3/4 of your system now is PVC pipe, which means that it hasn't gone past its useful lifespan. The focus is to try to get rid of the old steel lines. They're deteriorating so bad and leaking everywhere. This project really took care of a lot of the most critical ones. But there are a couple of areas still in town that we're working on another phase. In this case, a state revolving fund grant, completely grant program to try to knock those out in the next 3 or 4 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. On that question, I know you talked to us about this at great length when we approved this project. But for them, everyone here, what is the life expectancy of the pipes we put in the ground? It has advanced considerably from prior decades.
I'm sorry you were breaking up. I think you asked what the lifespan is of the pipes we're putting in now. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, PVC pipe, which almost the whole thing was PVC pipe that we installed. There's very small sections, some ductile iron. Right now, the manufacturer guarantees 70 years. They're talking that they think that they'll probably raise that to 100 in the near future. Analysis from the last 30 years of pipe that's been buried is showing no deterioration of it. So it should last a significantly long time. The only issue PVC has is if it gets in the ground, in contact with different kinds of oil, fuel, contaminants, that can deteriorate it. But if it doesn't get in contact with that, it should last easily 70 years, if not longer.
All right. Our loan term, is that a 40-year?
Correct. Well, it's actually, if you read the documents, it expires in 2061. And it's not quite 40 years.
Okay.
And so, Blake, do you want to kind of touch on the loan component of it?
Well, it was signed in February of 21, so I wonder if it's 40 years.
Probably at the beginning of the.
Yeah. Blake?
Yeah, I think it's 40 years. Is there any other questions?
Thank you, Dennis.
Well, I have a question of Dennis, actually. Me too. Yeah. Thank you so much, Keith. We really appreciate your oversight in engineering. Dennis, could you, just for starters, give us some sense of, from your perspective, you came here many, many years ago and saw what the water system looked like then. You've been patching it together for decades. What does this mean going forward?
The ultimate goal is going to mean that the operators are going to get to do what they're supposed to do with operating the system and compliant. Instead of fixing water leaks, we'll be exercising valves, maintenance on fire hydrants, and doing the general maintenance of the operations and maintenance and heat to the system. And it's free. It doesn't free up any time. No. It allows the operators to maintain the system so that we can have it for 70 years and keep it going in that perspective. As far as water, we've done some preliminary reports, and it looks like the water consumption of the town has dropped dramatically with fixing the water pipes. There was a lot of water leaks underground that we had no idea. There's no surface. We don't know they're there. We've seen a significant drop off in the flow of the town from that perspective. Considerably.
Yeah. Any additional questions, Councilman?
Well, more personal question.
Yep.
So I live on Sacramento Avenue between Pine and Cedar, and over the last few months, maybe the last 2 months, I've noticed a fluctuation in turning on a tap, and the water will come out stronger and then reduce to a trickle and then stabilize. It will come out as a trickle and then get stronger. Have there been system-wide pressure changers where I need my pressure regulator adjusted, or?
Yes, we have made some, we have installed 7 or I think 8 new pressure control zones to lower the pressure. In the particular area on Sacramento, we haven't done anything with that yet, other than the new tank will take care of that at the completion of next summer. And that will be a steadier pressure. On the other side of that, I would probably say that your regulator is starting to fail, because almost everybody in the city of Dunsmuir has a pressure regulator. Our first customer is 7 pounds pressure on the system. Our last customer on the system is 220 pounds. So I will tell you this, everybody, almost everybody has a pressure regulator of some sort in their facility. May not know where it's at, may be buried underground. With today's product that we have out there in the throwaway world, I would recommend that that get addressed every 5 years. It's just not product that isn't made to last anymore. And that could be the result of the pressure surging up and down a little bit.
Maybe next year after the tank is done, in the utility bill, you let people know.
Yeah, we can do that.
Any additional questions? Yep. I have just one, because one more, Dennis. Could you talk a little bit more about our fire system? So I've heard that there's been improvements to it as part of this, so the hydrants.
So there was 44 new fire hydrants that were installed in the project. Those were new locations. I think there was another 30 that were replaced. Old fire hydrants that were replaced. Most of the fire hydrants that are in the system currently, quite a few, and most were replaced were all serviced by line. The flow on the fire hydrant was restricted to less than 500 gallons a minute. All the new fire hydrants contain 6 chains, which this spring we will be doing what they call a keto test. We measure the flow of every single fire hydrant and pass that information on to the fire department, and that gets the fire ratings for the area. We missed the opportunity to get it done this fall. We're already into freezing. So I don't think we want to be putting all that water onto the ground.
No.
But next spring, we'll know what the actual numbers have changed from the previous years. We currently have 170 around that area of fire hydrants in the area. So almost all of them are within 500 feet of each other now.
And then at the completion of the downtown water tank, I imagine pressure will be much improved for
the pressure will steady out a little bit more. The design of the tank is to maintain the pressure zones that we have. The advantage you're going to have is we're going to have 1 billion gallons of storage in that tank. So we're not going to rely on the springs to provide fire flow for everything. We're going to have 1 million in that tank. The other is going to have 600,000 in it. So we're going to have storage for fire protection and be able to not jeopardize anybody in the community with water.
Cool. The other tank, is that maintaining the old one as a backup, or?
No, we have a 600,000 gallon tank in North Dunsmuir that was put in 2006. So it feeds up above the elementary school. It's in the property up there.
Yeah.
We pump water to it, and it pretty much feeds North Dunsmuir, but it's all designed. Automatic valves will open up based on pressure to feed anywhere in the town.
Wasn't one of the concerns the pressure at the elementary school?
One of the concerns we've had is the pressure at the high school.
Oh, the high school. Okay.
The elementary school, we took them off a low pressure zone, put them on a high pressure zone.
Okay, then it was at one time.
Yeah, and there were the 3 fire hydrants that were at the school were all fed off of 1 4-inch line, and now they have a 8-inch line feeding them. So those fire hydrants are brought up to today's standards, which are a big plus for that area. The high school, we're working on the pressure on that. It should stabilize out when we get the tank completed, and we'll know what the final number is for that.
Well, thank you so much, Dennis. We deeply appreciate your work in the city and doing all this extra labor to oversee this project and save the city money. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Just so you know, the most significant improvements were probably in the Cave Simpson Avenue area. And that really assisted the fire department on which I forgot to mention earlier, the vegetation fire up on went up Mount Bradley last week.
You saw the results already?
Yeah, so we literally saw those results and the chief is extremely happy that they had plenty of water all the way up a couple thousand feet of hose. And so that is a significant improvement from where they were.
Yeah, that particular fire hydrant went from about 60 PSI fed off a 4-inch main to fed off an 8-inch main at 154 PSI.
Wow.
So
Damn the fire, right?
we'll get them.
All right, thank you.
So I don't know if Dennis can handle this one, but yes. So Dennis and Keith are still on, but part of the agenda packet, you will see that there is hope to get or to issue the notice of completion. And so that staff report starts on page 26. So then if you go on to in your agenda packet, page 28, that's the actual letter from Keith, from Mr. Krantz, recommending that we do issue the notice of completion. And then on page 29, you see Keith's certificate of substantial completion. And if Keith, you want to jump in at all for anything, sorry if the sound is bad. FYI, the Zoom people, you sound in here for our going outward. So continuing on then page 30 of the agenda packet, that is the actual notice of completion that we are asking council to city manager authorize. I do have a financial part that I can go on with now, and you guys can do that together, or you can stop right there.
Love to hear the finances.
Beautiful. So then, continuing on, the main piece now is this resolution that, and I don't know the philosophy behind it all, but it's a necessary thing to do regarding our actual loan with the USDA. Like, in my mind, I wish the USDA would just give us the money and then we pay them back over 40 years. But that's not quite the case. And so it's totally issuing bonds. We need to get a trust agreement, a purchase agreement, an installment sale agreement. And I think that's, here, I'll go talk about them in this way.
So the debt's being sold from CoBank to USDA instead of.
Okay, so CoBank was the interim financial piece. So right, so USDA didn't just give us money. We had to go out. We don't have the financial wherewithal to expend 7.9 million bucks and then wait for USDA to give us 7.9 back, right? So we expended the money. CoBank gave us the reimbursement. So we would spend 500,000. CoBank would give us 500,000, right? Up to the 7.9 million. Now it comes to transfer of essentially USDA, us, I guess USDA and Great Northern potentially are going to sign their agreements to then CoBank gets their 7.9 million, and then we are now paying USDA back, the feds. So this piece right here is mainly with the bond with USDA. And so it is in the resolution, talks about a purchase agreement, which the actual purchase agreement begins on page 36 of your agenda packet. Then the installment sale agreement, which starts on page 44 of the agenda packet, and the assignment agreement, which is page 70 of the agenda, and then a trust agreement, that's page 74. And then on page 106 has kind of the like a nice little summary page. So anyway, bottom line, the bond council has reviewed all these documents. It's necessary for us to be able to not to have to pay back CoBank. These paperwork is necessary for us to then start the 1.35% payments back to USDA over the 40 years. That's all I got for now. If more questions, feel free to ask or go for it. I guess I'll say, so if anybody is wondering, there is an amortization schedule. There's a draft in there, but we're still working with USDA, RD up in Wairika to really nail down a lot of these things. So
I just have one comment. If in the future when we're negotiating new USDA stuff. If we could remember, we have a sewer loan we'd like to refinance in that. We have all sorts of loans. When future projects arise.
Yeah.
We got public comment on that?
Open this item for public comment. If anyone would like to make a comment, please come to the podium, or if you're on Zoom, hit the raise your hand reaction. I don't close public comment.
With the transfer from CoBank to the excuse me, USDA RD, does that have any impact on our bond rating?
Good question. I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
That's it. Sorry. I don't have like a whole question.
I can kind of comment a little more on that because I've done a few of these before. And so on the side of like when we transfer it to USDA, the bond rating specifically would only impact the water department component of it. Okay. So that's where we do our 218 process and get all of that stuff lined up. And that was why that was so important last fall. And so we have started that process. And just for the residents' information, I had a conversation today with one of the residents that on November 1st of each year in that 5-year plan is when our utility rates do increase incrementally in response to that 218 process. But a lot of that has to do, from the water side, has to do directly with the improvements we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so I want to commend you guys for making the move at the right time, because a 1.375% is basically free money. So good job.
My first involvement with the city before I got on the council was with this project, so I can go all the way back to when that started. So it's fun to see it at the end.
I think it went even further back. Really.
Well, I know it's gone further back. I'm saying this last push.
Yeah, it's amazing, and to celebrate beyond that 1.13 interest rate, we got our quote in before COVID hit, our quote back, so we went into contract at prices below the inflationary pressures of the last 2 years. So complete win for the city. Any motions?
Happy to make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-24 for the city to finalize the USDA loan of $7,934,000 for the water main improvement project. And I simply add to the city manager's comment that what has happened since 2008 is the city has taken a huge liability, that is an outdated water and sewer system, and turned it into a huge asset. So I expect our bond rating to improve, because every city in the United States would love to be in the position we're in.
Second.
Okay.
All right, 2 seconds.
I'll second also.
All right. I'll third.
Do we also need to cover the last component of that?
Yeah.
We include that as well, Councilman Arth?
Whatever.
So just to clarify, it would be an amendment to the motion to add and approving the forms and authorizing the execution and delivery where applicable of a purchase agreement and an installation sale agreement, a trust agreement, and an assignment agreement in connection therewith, and authorizing certain other related actions by title only, and authorize city manager to record the notice of completion with the county of Siskiyou.
That's exactly what I meant.
Second as amended.
All right, we have.
I'll second as amended.
We have an amended motion on the table. Any discussion? All right, since it's money involved, if we could do a roll call vote.
7 million.
10.9.
Yeah.
Plus 2.8 or 2.2 in grants.
Yes. Councilmember Arth.
Enthusiastic guy.
Councilmember Lucchese.
Aye.
Councilmember Keisler.
Heck yeah.
Deutsch.
Certainly, yes.
And Mayor Brian.
Aye.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, guys.
Thank all of you for your support too. Really appreciate
And
it.
to both Councilman Keisler, Deutsch, and Councilman Arth, way back originally, thank you guys for your forward-thinking leadership along this process.
One thing before we go, Mr. Mayor, can we also thank Mr. Reuter for having guided us through this? Keith, would you pass it on for us?
Yes, I will, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And a big
So-
shout out to Dennis and Tony and the rest of our crew. We got good guys.
Yes. All right, I'd love to invite Quentin up as we get into item B and C. I have a feeling that's why you're here. Thank you so much for waiting through the prior meeting.
Oh, of course, no problem. Yeah, so what we were doing is we were doing a bunch of switcheroos. So I'll add some context. So currently the city of Dunsmuir is administering two different CDBG-CV, which stands for coronavirus grants, which not only include the city of Dunsmuir, but every jurisdiction in Siskiyou County. And these funds had originated from the CARES Act. So that's March of 2020. And unfortunately, we did not get contracts to start those activities, especially the one that we're going to be amending until October of 2021. And so that's 19 months it took to get a contract for COVID relief money. The government, the California Department of Housing and Community Development will not be extending those expenditure deadlines 1 iota at all. So we are facing a situation where we need to figure out how to spend down the money or return it. And so what we have done is we've been working with Great Northern Services and the other jurisdictions in Siskiyou County to sort of develop a game plan with all the different funds. And so this is how we're going to be shuffling things around. For the CV1 program, which is the existing micro enterprise program, we're going to be making two changes to the program lines. The first is really just a tiny little clerical thing. It has to do with previously the General Service Administration, which is a federal department, would perform federal debarment checks on SAM.gov by utilizing what are known as Dun Bradstreet numbers, colloquially known as DUNS numbers. In April of 2022, they reverted to doing it completely in-house, so they're no longer working with Dun & Bradstreet, and they're now utilizing what are called unique entity identifiers. And so moving forward for debarment, it's just a clerical thing. Businesses no longer need DUNS numbers, they need UEI numbers. So that's the basic change there. The second change that we're doing is we're going to be encumbering micro enterprises that are located in the city of Doris. This is in Northeast County. They had previously had their own micro enterprise assistance program that was administered by Great Northern Services, but it wasn't getting any activity, it wasn't moving. So they're going to be reallocating those funds to the CDBG CV2-3 food bank program that is administered by the city of Mount Shasta on behalf of all counties or jurisdictions in Siskiyou County. That makes no budgetary changes to the CV1 program, it's just those changes in the guidelines. Now for the CV2 program that Dunsmuir is administered, it was basically the same program as CV1. We thought we could combine budgets. HCD had realized they couldn't do that and they had to issue separate contracts. So what we're going to be doing, and I'll wait a minute.
As soon as you start talking, it'll get the second one in.
I think you're good.
One more.
I think there's
Three
more.
bridges.
There's more, but you can continue.
Okay. So so what we're going to be doing.
I think they're watching this meeting online as they go through.
Welcome to that. We're going to be amending that activity to a new activity with no budgetary changes. That activity will become a subsistence assistance program. And so this is, Mount Shasta is currently running one right now. And what this does, it provides folks in the county who were impacted by COVID with relief on utilities that they're behind, water, electricity, broadband, mortgage, and rent. And they're eligible for up to 90 days of assistance through this program. Why we are shuffling things around has to do with the capital expenditure rates of all the different programs. So all these programs have to meet a COVID nexus some way, shape, or form. And those are really big governing rules that I can't wiggle around. So for the micro enterprise program, my underwriting for that is constricted by that COVID nexus. And so based on the capital expenditure rate of that program, I would not be able to draw down those funds by its expiration date. However, the subsistence payment program that Mount Shasta is currently administering is oversubscribed heavily. We are averaging monthly payments anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000. And this is benefiting up to 80 households at a time in the county. So it's really substantial. It's helping a lot. This program, based on the expenditure rate, is gonna end early. And so this is our game plan to deal with staff capacity and try to make this as frictionless as possible. Great Northern Services and the City of Mount Shasta will become subrecipients on this grant contract to the City of Dunsmuir. Great Northern Services will continue to facilitate all the applications, to do all the database, all the duplication of benefits check, and all the approvals. Mount Shasta will continue to provide all of the checks to the different utility providers, Vive, City of Dunsmuir Water, etc. Then what they will do is they will provide me with all of that backup documentation, and I'll submit those reports to HCD, who will then reimburse the City of Dunsmuir, who will then reimburse Great Northern Services and the City of Mount Shasta. So this should add minimal, labor and staff to the City of Dunsmuir. You guys won't have to start writing checks to utility providers. We're going to use the system that's already going in Mount Shasta. It won't affect cash flow of the city because Mount Shasta will actually be the one issuing the checks to the providers, and Dunsmuir will be simply reimbursing as a pass-through entity. And so the second set of guidelines attached are those subsistence payment guidelines. And so I know it's kind of confusing. It's a lot of different things, moving pieces all at once, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Are you going to provide any support for the SAM registration program?
This has been the .1 obstacle to the program. And so yesterday, I actually did two things because I've got a business in Dunsmuir who we started the SAM.gov registration process 3 months ago, and they still have not got a UEI. And so yesterday I reached out to Senator Padilla's office in Washington, D.C., and his policy advisor actually got back to me within an hour, which I was blown away by. He looped in their staff director who oversees all work with the General Services Agency, and they're going to be back to me. I might be sending some client testimonials. I had a business close in weed because I couldn't get them registered on SAM.gov. Yeah, and I couldn't get them coded indefinitely now. And so these are real people's lives, and it's the most frustrating thing for me. I actually helped 2 clients in Dunsmuir today start the SAM.gov process, or at least check on it for one of them. But my workaround that I asked HCD yesterday, because we're in the same situation, Mendocino County, Colusa County, Humboldt County have all aired the same grievance. And so I suggested to HCD, could I draft a form that clients would say, I solemnly swear that I'm not federally debarred, and as a condition of the grant closeout, they will be registered on SAM.gov, but so at least we could get them funding before they fail, and so I drafted that form. I sent it off to HCD yesterday, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. As soon as they give me thumbs up, I've got 5 tomorrow. I tear my.
So there are, just FYI, there's a lot of scam companies out there right now that are saying they can apply for SAM faster if you pay them. They cannot. And if that has happened to anyone, the Better Business Bureau has been pretty successful at getting money back from those scams.
And what they've also been doing is they've been monitoring new SAM.gov registrations, and then they contact those registrations and they say, hey, you need your renewal business, and say, why does this cost $520.99? It's a scam. It's a scam. And so it's something we need to be vigilant about.
I've had a lot of hearsay with businesses here in town who are still struggling, but they're more than 5 employees. Is there any, given that we're struggling with the original criteria?
No, because previously we could. HCD had allowed what are called combo programs where you can run business assistance and micro enterprise because they have what are called 2 different national objectives for CDBG. They disallowed it. I've requested, I've asked several times, and they may be allowing it on future NOFAs, but as of the 2022 NOFA, they're not allowing it.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, before you sit down, I do want to offer my thanks with all my hats on. The Cobra Lily Wine Bar, Lindsay Budner, I saw her this afternoon, and she was absolutely thrilled that you took the effort to come down to meet with her, to connect her with these resources. And for our small community, it makes a big difference. Thank you very much.
Yeah, gas is still $6. I get it. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, Mayor and Council, I think what we're looking for here is a motion to approve the amendments to the.
Public comment first.
Yeah, but we can discuss what we're looking for.
Okay. Be two separate motions, one to approve the CV1 amendments and then another one to approve the CV2-3 amendments.
I'm going to add and move them together.
No, I think that's appropriate, given the presentation, if there's no objections.
All right, Mayor, is there a resolution for the CV2 included?
Not just a motion. I didn't see resolutions.
I don't
in
think
my
I had a
packet.
resolution. I don't think you sent, I didn't see one.
There isn't one.
When does it due?
Well, we can look.
I've already submitted the amendment, so it's the back of the house.
Okay.
I told them that the November 3rd meeting was after the deadline, so we got the amendment in, but sooner rather than later.
Okay, well, if you can pull it up, that'd be fine, but let me open this up for public comment. Who would like to come up to the podium or raise your hand?
112.
All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment.
Could we potentially make a motion tonight to approve, but then place the resolution language on the next agenda, on the consent agenda?
I believe that would be okay.
Just to make it formal, to make it formal.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to approve, and then I can bring that back at the next meeting and
Do you
make
think
sure.
that'd be okay, Quentin, if we make the motion tonight and then we'll just put the resolutions on consent? For the next-
Well, the big thing is that, I mean, you guys have to, so I don't need a resolution for the guideline change, for the amendment, the ACD filter out that regardless.
Okay.
So if we get the amendments approved for the guidelines today, we're good to go.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposed guideline amendments for CV1 and CV2-3.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion?
Thank you.
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Against? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Quentin. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have no items of new business tonight, so it takes us into future agenda items.
I think at this point, we're going to be returning with quite a few finance documents and then potentially some grants. Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you, Quinn.
At this point, I don't think I have anything else that I would request.
I do know we have a number of things from our last several collective months will be addressed, especially as we turn over to new council.
Yes.
One thing, I believe there was a doodle poll sent out to all of the
yeah.
council members and the planning commissioners and anybody involved on a committee that is a Brown Act committee. If you could please respond to that, so Wendy can get training scheduled for us as a group.
Yeah, thank you so much. On that note, it did say, if you have attended that, please submit your proof. Even if you have, I would request that everybody attend that. I think it should be a good group exercise and training. There might be some new specified information for Dunsmuir itself. All right, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So seconded.
Aye. Against?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. How's Notre Dame doing this year?